Hi everyone, my name is Brittany Killen, and this is my week 9 progress report for my venture Robox. To date, I've spoken to 31 customers. So when looking at my elevator pitch, for the most part, it's pretty much the same. It is a low-cost robotics rental learning kit that will teach design, build, and testing concepts of advanced technology to students. Students is underlined here because originally I wanted to cater towards high school students, but I'm starting to see a need to go more towards students, including college students and middle school students as well. So when examining my customer development report, as I stated earlier, to date I've interviewed 31 total customers, 8 over the last couple weeks. And for the most part, the hypotheses have pretty much stayed the same. There are not many existing low-cost rental robotics learning options for advanced technology. Many public and urban area schools do not have access to these advanced technology supplies and products, and that there are limited channels to access these resources in low-income environments. So again, the experiments performed here were interviewing parents, high school students. I even interviewed college students this time, teachers, administrators, outreach programs, and startups about these hypotheses. So as you can see on the right here, my results were very mixed. So for no low-cost rental options, I actually had a lot of people who agreed with this. There were 3 outreach coordinators, 2 teachers, and 2 students. And the 2 teachers actually loved the idea of this, especially if the pricing would be cheap enough. They would actually think about purchasing this for their classroom. And then I also had 1 neutral student who said that they can access tools online for cheap. However, they would be interested in the product offering on the Robox site. And actually, there was no one who disagreed on this point, so that was very interesting to find. For no access in schools, I found that 2 teachers agreed, 2 students thought that they need better classroom resources for technology, and that 3 outreach coordinators were more neutral about it, saying that they have lots of textbooks and online resources. And then there was also 1 student who disagreed, who said that they have a robotics kit that was owned by the school. And then lastly, for limited channels, there was 2 outreach coordinators and 2 students who agreed. For neutral, there was 2 students or 2 teachers and 1 student. And then for those who disagreed on the limited channels was 1 outreach coordinator who says that you just have to know what to look for online. So when looking at whether to iterate or pivot, I really just found 1 iteration to make this week, and it was a smaller one this week. It was to iterate to student access and not just high school student access. I actually found interest in the Robox site from 2 college students, so I see a potential new customer segment where college students might be able to buy some of this, maybe like freshmen. And also one thing I might want to think about iterating is in making the kits more modular than DIY, meaning that you can make sub-assemblies and then put the sub-assemblies together using these kits. So here's my week 9 lean canvas. A lot of it didn't really change this week. I think the main big change was the change from high school students to students. And then also I added to my revenue stream. So my revenue stream is going to be more of a fixed pricing that offers a range from $2 a day to $5 a day for a basic kit versus an advanced kit. And you can rent this for up to 1 month. And when people purchase it at full price, when people rent this, they have the option to purchase it for full price after their rental service is up. And in addition to this, they'll be charged a late fee of 50 cents a day if need be. So those are the main changes on my lean canvas, and I'll go more into the revenue stream on the next couple slides. So for my journal, through the readings, videos, and activities, I was really able to learn about how to narrow my focus down on my product goals. For instance, I learned about determining a revenue model, pricing product components and offerings, adding customer segments, iterating my web page for my MVP, and redesigning market strategies for feedback from potential customers on Google Ads. So over the next couple weeks, I really hope to develop and improve this business model and define the MVP further. So for some supporting documentation, as I mentioned in the last progress report, I started my roboxco.com website. So the last couple weeks I've really added to the site. I've changed some of the headings, I've moved some things around, and I think the main changes I've really made here are that I've incorporated my revenue pricing into the website. I've added some more pictures, and then I even included an area where people can leave their name and email address if they're interested in the product to get updates on the product as well. So in addition to my site, as I mentioned in the last progress report, I started running a Google ad campaign. And over the last couple weeks, I've actually been able to really scale that campaign and get more results from that campaign. And I even played around with different types of ads to kind of figure out what was going to get the most impressions and the most clicks. And this is what I have so far. So since the last progress report, I went from having 12 impressions to having 1,089 impressions. And then I went from 0 website clicks to actually having 18 website clicks. So that's a big improvement from 0. So you can kind of see on the bottom here how much I spent on advertising, the impressions that were made, how many clicks were on my page over time. And one nice thing about Google Ads is it actually gave me the search phrases that people are searching for when my ad appears. And it looks like some of the top ones are robotics kits, robotics shops, robot hobbies, and kid robotics, things along those lines. And I found one thing that really helped me get clicks was changing it from rent robotics products for students at $2 a day to just rent robotic products at $2 a day. And I think that made a big difference in the amount of clicks I was getting on my website. So to continue looking at my supporting documentation and activities, what constitutes as my pass-fail signal, I kept it as, is a rental kit a good idea, or are there better solutions to accessibility? And overall, I really found that my customer feedback was very positive with this, saying that there aren't a lot of rental robotics options, and that people who are in the market for robotics really favored this idea. And then what's my revenue model and what types of revenue streams are there? So right now I'm leaning towards doing a fixed rental pricing and pricing it at $2 to $5 per day per box when renting the product. And this would be based on the cost of actually making the box. So from the research I've done already, I found that the average price to make the box would be anywhere from $20 to $30, depending on what components I would want to actually put into this box. So that would mean that my minimum rental would have to be for about 10 days when first starting out before I gain some customer traction. So as you can see on the bottom here, I have a little bit of a diagram kind of going through that feedback loop. So, you'd start off with buying the kit components, which would be assembling and designing and actually building the kit and putting it in this, this box. So that would cost me around $20 to $30 per kit. Then I would offer the kit on the website, robobox.com, and I would rent the kit anywhere from $2 to $5 a day for a minimum of 10 days. So as the customer amount would grow, I can limit that to 1 week. Then I can rent the kit to the customer and have it ship. And at that point, I will receive the money from the customer. And then when the customer is done with the box, they can return it through shipping it back. And I would provide the box and the shipping label for them. And if they were late, I can charge them a 50 cents a day fee. And the customer would have the opportunity at that point to buy the kit before returning it. So to continue more with my revenue model, how would I package my product into different offerings and how would I price those offerings? So as I discussed before, I would do $2 a day for a standard basic robotics kit, and then I would do $5 a day for a more advanced robotics kit. So the more basic robotics kit would have things like a motor, wiring, metal or plastic components for building, a breadboard, LEDs, and maybe even a guidebook to help people assemble things. The more advanced kit would have things that are similar to the basic kit, but it would also include things like sensors, more advanced lighting features, switches, more advanced boards, and even some more build components. And to start off, I would rent these for a minimum of $10 a day, so that I can gain a little bit of profit to put back in towards buying more kits until I have a bigger customer basis. So how does this affect my revenue model? Different pricing will help determine what features the customers are really looking for. And by setting it for that 10 minimum days, I'll able to really see what the customers are looking at, whether they like the advanced features more or the basic features, and kind of put that back into buying more kits that they prefer. As far as the key financial metrics for my business model, as I mentioned before, it's $20 to $40 a kit, depending on what I put into the kit. There's customer rentals, there's late fees, there's box maintenance and replacement, and there's shipping fees that I'll have to think about with my financial metrics. And then lastly, what are my competitors doing? As I've mentioned in previous progress reports, usually they have educational tools like online apps. They have cheap products from places like Amazon or even from China. They have expensive products at other startups, and they haven't really seen rental technologies yet in robotics. So here's my customer and partner list. As I mentioned before, I've spoken to a total of 31 total customers to date. This included 8 high school students, 7 teachers, 2 administrators, 5 parents, 7 outreach programs and technology startups, and then 2 college students. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation on Robox.